You've also found you're working on something new about big pharma again. What's your latest?
Well, there's a big story that came out, if that's what you're referencing, which Dr. James Thorpe, the only obstetrician, really, maybe one other brave enough to stand up for women during this onslaught against fertility in the last 5 years, he broke the story yesterday on X. And he pointed out that Pfizer, and this is so evil, Steve, and it picks up on things that the posse has been learning along with me and Amy Kelly and the Daily Clout War Room, Pfizer Documents research volunteers. Dr. Thorpe pointed out that Pfizer entered into a collaboration with Myovant Sciences, another pharma company, to develop and commercialize a medication called Myfembry. And I looked up Myfembry, and sure enough, this collaboration, this partnership to produce and distribute this medication was launched in May of 2021. And it's kind of been under the radar, but it's been Pfizer and Myovant have been selling Myfembry. Well, the backstory of this is so dark and evil. You know, because I got deplatformed for it in 2021 for warning that women were having menstrual problems upon receiving the mRNA injection. Subsequently, the War Room Daily Clout Pfizer Documents research volunteers found in the Pfizer documents that Pfizer was developing the injection essentially to cause menstrual problems and fertility problems. I'm just going to say that. And there's even a chart that was sent over by Pfizer to the FDA in
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
April.
whoa! What do you mean? What do you mean to cause? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, we've had this kind of philosophical moment before. So much of the research in Pfizer papers proves that the mRNA injection disrupts human fertility in multiple ways. And they were looking very closely at this to the point where they created charts and spreadsheets proving that this injection had horrible effects on women's menstrual cycles and caused miscarriages disproportionately. In fact, a report just came out from the Czech Republic that live births are down 30%, which is lower than the 13 to 20% that I updated the posse about the last one of the last few times I was on. But the focus on menstrual damage is so weird, but now it makes sense. So is it a cause? Is it an effect? Are they, monetizing a side effect that they knew about? I can't answer that. There's no smoking gun. That's where hearings should come in. But what I'm trying to describe is that they created a spreadsheet showing tens of thousands of women that they had damaged menstrually with the injection. 15,000 women bleeding every day, 10,000 women bleeding twice a month, 7,500 women with no periods at all, meaning totally infertile, 10-year-old girls bleeding upon being injected, 85-year-old women bleeding, women having horrible hemorrhages and pain. I won't go into any more gory detail. The point is that chart went to the White House on April 20th, 2021. It went to Dr. Walensky. It went to the FDA. It went to POTUS, right? 15 White House staffers. It went to all of them. And then 3 days later, Dr. Walensky told the women of America, there's no bad time to get your Pfizer or your COVID injection before, during, or after your pregnancy. Well, simultaneously, Dr. Thorpe broke this story, and I looked into it. I've researched it. It's shocking. While Pfizer was doing the trials for the COVID shot that proved that it destroyed women's menstrual cycles at an industrial scale, like millions of women have been in, right? At the same time they were doing this, they were developing a product to give women who are having too much menstrual bleeding. And this is what they rolled out 1 month
Wow.
after the report went to the White House showing that they were going to generate millions of women with horrible bleeding problems upon rolling out the
Oh
COVID.
man.
And the
Oh,
FDA, well, it's a scandal in the making that we can't even imagine, Steve, because what's happening now is you've got millions of women, of course, who are mRNA vaccinated, bleeding too much. They go to their doctors will prescribe Myfembry because the FDA approved it. All right, what are the side effects that you're probably not going to hear about? This is such a 1-2 punch. to the women of America and the world. If you survive the COVID-19 shot, if your fertility survived, wait till you take Myfembree. It does reduce bleeding, right? So women are going to take it, they're going to see an improvement. It reduces bleeding by about 85%. So they're going to think it works. What else does it do? It reduces your estrogen. It causes pregnancy loss. So more damage to your fertility, more miscarriages. It raises the risk of thrombosis and blood clots. It causes you to go bald or lose your hair. Also, it causes loss of libido and suicidal ideation. So the women of America, who, millions of them, it was 5 million women in America who had too much bleeding because of other conditions. Now it's many, many millions more because of the mRNA injection. All of those women now are going to be having, being turned into kind of no sexual desire, no hair, no fertility, at risk of heart attacks and depressed or suicidal. And in addition, the ingredient in Myfembree is being used, says the fine print, to develop contraception and to help in assisted reproduction. So it's a lock. I mean, basically the evil tech people or the evil globalists behind the war on America and on the West. We've talked about this, which is why the executive order that President Trump signed was so important, making sure that our drugs are manufactured at home and not by our enemies in the Chinese Communist Party. But American women are going to be hit with so many side effects that make them unable to want to have babies, unable to want to do a lot of other things, but, unable to parent well, to mother well. If they do have babies, it's a whole new war on women, motherhood, and the family.